First story. My man-child husband overestimated himself and demanded an open marriage, saying I'm fat and unattractive. Now I've gotten into shape and am getting more attention than him. He demands to close our marriage, so I divorced the man W and found my independence. I, 40F, married my husband, 42M, 18 years back. We have one daughter, 16, and one son, 14. We met in college and fell in love. My husband lost his parents in an accident, and as a friend, I consoled him, and we became close. We are from the same city, and he lived around 10 kilometers from my house. So we just clicked. Our marriage has its own share of ups and downs, but financially we are in a good place. I own a house gifted by my parents, and he inherited his parents' house after their passing away. I run my own bridal boutique and make good money. He is the insurance head. We have bought multiple properties and built our future together and for our children. We also have created mutual wills. In case one parent has to pass away, his or her share of assets will go to our children only, irrespective of whether the living parent marries again or not. Last year, my husband started distancing, and I was worried. He started ignoring me, stopped getting physical, etc. In the end, he told me, he finds me fat and ugly and he doesn't get a turn on. I was so busy raising kids and my business that I stopped caring about it. He said he doesn't want to destroy the family, but he wants to have sex outside marriage. He said he won't be a hypocrite, and I can do the same. I cried and begged, but he didn't listen. After weeks of crying and self-pity, I accepted this proposal. I also started working out, and guys in the gym started hitting on me. I have had my share of hookups and fun, but finally I am getting along with a man who is 35. He treats me on dates, and SX is good. I also changed my dressing from traditional to more Western, and SXY and has lost weight. I have nice curves too. My husband, luckily or sadly, didn't have such luck. He is tall and all, but he overrated his chances. He got hookups here and there, but barely they repeated him. He thought he could woo girls with money. But girls today are independent and can't be wooed with money only. I was going on a date when my kids were at my parents', and he was pissed. He said not to go. I didn't care and went. Now he is saying he wants to close his marriage, and I just laughed at him. I told him this is the arrangement he wanted, and I am honoring it. I am enjoying the attention these hunks give me, and it's not my fault women don't want him. He started calling me names, and I called him a man W. He is threatening divorce, and I am fine with it because our laws favor women more. I pointed that out to him. He started crying and begging to close the marriage again, but I am refusing. Edit. 35M is in the divorce process, and our country takes years to have a divorce if the wife isn't consenting. We are taking it slow, but he is an amazing man. Edit. Our children have no idea, and we are involved parents. Stop stressing about them. Also planning to get divorced when both are in college. P's who think it's fake. You can believe what you want to. I don't have to prove anything here. I am here for judgment. Edit. I had to add people who are blaming me for staying fat. Despite both working, my evenings went teaching kids and taking care of the household. He thought it was a woman's job to do so and was only fun dad. In the mornings, I had to prepare breakfast for all. I had house help for cleaning and dishes, but I barely had time to work out. Now I have hired a cook and kids who can take care of themselves. It gives me free time to work on myself. If he wanted a model, he could have reduced his tummy in his daily sports and helped me as well. Thank you. Edit. Men in the comments section are victimizing my husband. Expected. Keep barking. Update. Well, I realize there is no point in petty revenge. The kids were at my parents' house. We discussed plans, and I told him I have no love or respect for him left, nor do I find him attractive anymore. I told him if he wanted to make a tough divorce process, he will lose more as our laws are very tough on men. So let's make an easy divorce with a fair division of properties, where I contributed more anyway. There were tears and begging, but I stood firm and asked for a divorce. I showed him proof, and if he ever tried to shame me in front of kids, his visual and text proofs are with me too. So we called a truce. The next day we involved our lawyers, neighbors, family, and friends and drew up our property and fund division verbally. It was quite clear. The Marshall house is mine. He is moving to his inherited house a few kilometers away. We have acquired multiple properties, and we will divide them by value. The savings will be divided, and we have our retirement plans. He also blurted out that he has a young widow girlfriend. I said, good luck and happy life. We told our kids that we love them, but we are going to divorce. Of course, they were devastated, but we assured them that we are here for them forever and will co-parent. They are still upset, and we will hire a therapist to make the process smoother for them. Also, my FWB divorce process is going, and I told him about mine. He said to get serious about our relationship. I don't know if it's love or not, but I like him, and we're going to take it slow. I want my kids to be 18 before I marry again. Note he was already in the divorce process for years, even before we started hanging out. So nope, I am not a home wrecker. P.S. to all the crybaby men who were crying for my husband and asking me why I didn't lose weight. Wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Do the chores for the lazy man and kids. Then go to work. Come evening, do chores again till night, and then tell me about working out. You just couldn't handle a woman giving the same dose of medicine to a man, and blamed me more and gave him very little blame. This shows your double standards. I only became fat birthing his children. Birth does things to your body. What about his hairy tummy without birthing or any medical issues? And I hired a cook from my personal fund money, as he didn't want to contribute to it. That's why I didn't hire her earlier, as it was causing issues with the budget. I took the hit after he called me fat and ugly. I hope your fathers and sons do the same to their wives. And then you can lecture me. So if you live in 1950, your wife should look as XY. Do chores, birth your kids, and be available as a maid. Then you are as pathetic. So F you are male chauvinist pigs. And anyone who thinks it is fake. I don't owe you anything anyway. Edit. Someone said my English is Gen Z. Guess what? It's not my first language, and we use WhatsApp outside America. We like such abbreviations. Shocking. Age isn't a factor here. I am a business shop owner. My dealings are in the local language. I studied in a Hindi medium school, and English is self-taught. It must be shocking for Westerners to realize the world doesn't need to learn every aspect of English. Also deleting my account. For men and pigs. Keep seething. In my comment section. Women can make you cry in your game if they want. We don't because we value our family and kids. But try them and hurt them. They can best you at your own game. Decided not to delete it. Trash racist Western men are crying in my comment section. Their tears give me joy. Keep it. Second story. Entitled parents grounded me and canceled my birthday after I refused to let my golden child stepsister choose my birthday theme and blew up the candles again like last year. Hi Reddit. I'm 14. And I really need advice because I feel like my whole birthday is being ruined, and no one in my house is on my side. Well, except for my grandparents and uncle. But my dad and stepmom think I'm being a brat, and now I'm grounded. Let me explain what happened. So, my birthday is supposed to be this Saturday, and I was really looking forward to it this year. I don't have a ton of friends, but the ones I do have are great, and I wanted to have a small gaming theme party with some decorations and cake. Nothing fancy, just a fun time. But now, the whole thing is canceled because I refuse to let my little stepsister 7F take over the party theme and blow out my candles like she did last year. Here's some backstory. My dad 40M got remarried to my stepmom 38F about 2 years ago, and she has a daughter from her first marriage. When they moved in with us, things were okay at first. My stepsister is pretty spoiled though, and throws tantrums when things don't go her way. My stepmom usually caves to her because she doesn't want to deal with the crying and screaming, and my dad goes along with it because, well, I don't know why. He always says, you're the older one. Be the bigger person. Last year, my birthday party was ruined. I wanted a gaming theme like Mario, Fortnite, stuff I'm into, but my stepsister didn't like it. She cried that it was boring and said she wanted a princess theme instead. My stepmom made me change everything to make her happy. I wasn't thrilled, but I agreed because my dad said I should keep the peace. It was embarrassing because my friends came over, and it was all pink and sparkly, with princess crowns everywhere. To top it off, when it came time for the cake, my stepsister ran up and blew out the candles before I even got the chance. Everyone laughed it off like it was cute, and I just stood there, trying not to cry. This year, I told myself I wouldn't let that happen again. I told my dad and stepmom weeks ago that I wanted my birthday to be about me this time. At first, my dad said okay, but my stepmom kept saying things like, well, you need to think about your sister. She looks up to you. It's important to include her. I thought we were past it until last weekend, when I overheard my stepsister talking about how she wanted the party to be unicorn-themed. I told my dad and stepmom I wasn't okay with that, and reminded them that it's my birthday. That's when the drama started. My stepsister threw a huge tantrum when she found out I wasn't going to change the theme for her. She started crying, saying I was being mean and didn't love her. My stepmom got really mad at me and said I was being selfish. She told me that as the older brother, I need to set an example and support my sister. I tried to explain that it's my birthday and I don't want to share it with her every single time. My dad said I was making a big deal out of nothing and that it wouldn't kill me to let her have her way. I told them no, and that's when my stepmom canceled the party entirely. She said if I wasn't willing to compromise, I didn't deserve a party at all. Now I'm grounded, even though I don't think I did anything wrong. My grandparents and uncle are furious about this and completely on my side. My uncle offered to throw me a party at his house instead, but my dad and stepmom won't let me go because they say I'm being punished. Meanwhile, my stepsister is walking around like nothing happened, still getting whatever she wants while I'm stuck in my room. I feel like my dad is choosing my stepmom and stepsister over me, and it hurts. He keeps telling me to grow up and stop being so petty, but I feel like they're the ones being unfair. How is it selfish to want my birthday to be about me? I only get one day a year for this, and I already gave it up last year to make her happy. Now I'm stuck, and I don't know what to do. Should I have just gone along with it again to avoid all this drama? My grandparents say they want to talk to my dad about how he's treating me, but I don't know if that will help or just make things worse. I don't want to cause more fighting, but I also don't want to sit here and let them walk all over me. At one, my mom left when I was little and we don't talk. From what I've been told, she didn't want to be a mom anymore after she and my dad split. She moved far away and doesn't want any contact with me. I tried reaching out to her a couple of years ago, but she basically told me she didn't want to be involved in my life. It sucks, but I've gotten used to it. Edit 2. Before my dad married my stepmom and my stepsister came into the picture, my birthdays were always really fun. My dad would let me pick the theme, and we'd usually have a small party at home or go out somewhere I liked, like a bowling alley or a laser tag place. My grandparents and uncle would always come, and it was nice because it felt like my day. Now, it feels like I don't even get a say anymore, and I just miss when things were simpler. Update. Hi Reddit, it's me again. I didn't expect so many of you to respond to my posts, but thank you for all the advice and support. I honestly didn't think anyone would care this much, but reading your comments really helped me feel less alone. Things have been pretty intense since I posted, so here's an update on what's happened so far. Right after I posted my grandparents, my dad's parents came over to talk to him about how he's been treating me. My uncle came too because he's super protective of me and was pissed about the whole situation. When they showed up, I could hear them arguing in the living room. My grandpa told my dad that canceling my birthday was out of line and said I deserved to have a day that was about me, not my stepsister. My uncle backed him up, saying it wasn't fair for a 14-year-old to have to sacrifice his birthday just to keep the peace. My stepmom got defensive immediately. She started saying that I'm ungrateful and that I'm refusing to accept my new family. She even accused me of trying to divide the family by not including my stepsister. My grandma wasn't having it. She told my stepmom to stop making excuses for bad parenting and that this wasn't about family dynamics. It was about treating me with basic respect. My dad just kept saying that I'm being selfish and need to grow up. He doubled down on grounding me, saying that if he gave in now, I'd think it was okay to disrespect him and my stepmom. At this point, I was crying in my room because I could hear everything. It hurt to hear my dad take her side again and act like I was the problem. Later that evening, my grandparents came to my room to check on me. My grandpa hugged me and told me he was sorry I had to deal with all this. He said that even if my dad wasn't willing to listen, they were on my side and would figure something out. My grandma suggested they host a party for me at their house instead. She said I deserved to have a day where I could just feel happy and celebrate it. When my grandparents brought up the idea to my dad, he refused. He said it would undermine his authority and send the wrong message to me, whatever that means. This led to another argument between them. My grandma basically told my dad that if he kept punishing me for something that wasn't my fault, they'd step in no matter what. She even threatened to stop helping my dad financially. I didn't even know they supported him like that, but it must have hit a nerve because my dad finally caved. After some back and forth, my dad agreed to unground me, but he wasn't happy about it. He and my stepmom gave me back my electronics and said I was lucky my grandparents fought for me. My dad was really short with me afterward, and I could tell he was still mad. But honestly, I didn't care. It felt good knowing my grandparents had my back. I've been feeling really down and isolated these past few days. It's like my dad doesn't care about how I feel at all. He used to be my hero, but ever since he married my stepmom, it feels like I'm always second place. My stepsister gets away with everything because she's the youngest, and my stepmom treats her like a queen. I keep asking myself if I really am being selfish like they say. Maybe I should have just gone along with it again to avoid all this drama. But then I remember how much it sucked last year to stand there in a Pink Princess theme party while my stepsister blew out my candles and opened half my presents. I just wanted one birthday that was actually about me, and I don't think that's too much to ask. My uncle decided he wasn't going to let my birthday get ruined. He called me and told me to hang tight because he was working on something. I didn't know what he meant until Friday night when he texted me saying, "We're making this happen. Be ready." Turns out, my uncle contacted my friends and planned a small party for me at his house. He coordinated with my grandparents to get me there without my dad knowing. On Saturday morning, my grandma told my dad she wanted to take me out for some bonding time. My dad was hesitant at first, but eventually agreed. When we got to my uncle's house, all my friends were there, along with my grandparents and uncle. It wasn't anything fancy, just some decorations with my favorite game theme, pizza, and a cake, but it was perfect. For the first time in a long time, I felt like people actually cared about what I wanted. We played games, ate cake, and just had fun. My uncle even got me a small gift, a new controller for my Xbox, which made me tear up because I didn't expect anything. Of course, my dad found out about the party later and was furious. He accused my grandparents and uncle of going behind his back and said they were disrespecting him and his marriage. My uncle fired back, saying my dad was being a crappy parent and putting his wife and stepdaughter above me. My grandparents told my dad they were disappointed in how he's been treating me and said he needed to start acting like a father again. When my dad confronted me, I finally told him how I felt. I told him that ever since he remarried, I felt like I don't matter to him anymore. I told him how much it hurt to have my birthday taken away 2 years in a row and how I feel like I'm always expected to give up everything for my stepsister. He didn't say much, but I could tell he was upset. After the argument, my dad and stepmom went into their room to talk. I don't know what they're discussing, but it's been really tense in the house since then. My grandparents said they're going to stay involved to make sure I'm treated fairly going forward, but I don't know if anything will actually change. I'm not grounded anymore, and I have my electronics back, but my dad and stepmom aren't really talking to me. I feel like things are just going to stay awkward unless something big happens. That party at my uncle's house reminded me that I'm not alone and that there are people who love me and want me to be happy. TLDR, my grandparents forced my dad to unground me and give me back my electronics. My uncle threw me a small surprise party, which was amazing, but my dad found out and got mad. I finally told him how I felt about being treated unfairly. Things are tense at home, but my grandparents are staying involved to make sure I'm treated better. Update. Hey Reddit, it's me again. I wish I had better news, but things have gotten even worse. I'm writing this from my uncle's house now because I couldn't stay at home anymore. My dad and stepmom wanted to send me away to boarding school, and it feels like they just didn't want me in their lives anymore. It's been a lot to deal with, and I still don't know how to feel about everything. After my grandparents and uncle stood up for me last time, my dad and stepmom started treating me like I was some unwanted guest in their house. My dad barely said anything to me unless it was to remind me to do my chores or complain that I wasn't helping out enough. He never asked how I was doing or even said anything normal like, "Good morning." It was like I wasn't even his son anymore, just some annoying kid he had to deal with. My stepmom, though, wasn't subtle about how she felt. She made little comments all the time like, "This house is so tense now. I wonder why?" Or, "It's hard to have peace when people don't respect the family." She didn't say my name, but I knew she was talking about me. Every day, It felt like I was being reminded that I didn't belong there. Even my stepsister started acting like I was already gone. She started saying things like, "Mom says this is going to be my room soon, and you should leave your Xbox for me when you go." One time, I caught her sitting in my room, playing with my stuff, and she said, "I just wanted to see what it's like before you leave." It felt like the whole house had already decided I didn't matter anymore. A few nights ago, my dad and stepmom sat me down in the living room. My stepsister was in bed, so I thought maybe they wanted to talk about something serious. My dad started by saying they'd been thinking about how tense things had been and how it wasn't good for anyone. Then he said they decided I was going to boarding school. I just sat there, trying to process what he was saying. I asked him why, and he said it was for my benefit, that it would give me structure and a chance to grow. My stepmom jumped in and said it was better for everyone and would help restore balance in the house. That's when I realized they just didn't want me there anymore. I told them I didn't want to go. I said it wasn't fair to send me away just because I didn't fit into their perfect little family. My dad just shook his head and said it wasn't up for discussion. He told me to make this easy on myself and accept it. I went to my room after that, and I don't think I've ever felt so alone. I didn't know what to do, so I called my uncle. I told him everything, and he was so mad I could hear him pacing on the phone. He called my grandparents, and the next day they all showed up at the house. I stayed in my room while they talked, but I could hear the argument. My uncle said my dad was giving up on me and acting like I was a problem he could just get rid of. My grandparents were saying it wasn't fair to treat me like this, and that I deserved to feel like part of the family. My stepmom kept defending the decision, saying I was causing division, and that the house would be better off without all the drama. At one point, my stepsister walked in and said, "Is he leaving now? Can I have his bed?" She said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. I wanted to yell at her, but I just stayed quiet because I didn't want to give my dad more reasons to side with them. My uncle snapped at her, though, and she stormed off crying. My stepmom got mad at my uncle for hurting her feelings, like she was the victim here. During the argument, my grandma said something about how maybe I could live with my mom instead. I don't think she meant to upset me. She was just throwing out ideas because she was so frustrated, but it hit a nerve. I told her that wasn't an option. My mom left when I was really little, and I barely heard from her since. She didn't want me then, and she doesn't want me now. My grandparents told me once that she said I reminded her too much of my dad, and that it was easier for her to move on without me. I tried calling her a couple of years ago, just to see if maybe things had changed, but she shut me down. She said I was part of a chapter of her life that she didn't want to revisit. Hearing my grandma bring her up again just reminded me that I didn't have anyone else to turn to. Eventually, my uncle told my dad that if he sent me to boarding school, he'd stop helping with bills. My grandparents backed him up and said they'd stop helping with the house too. I didn't even know they were helping my dad financially, but I guess my dad didn't want to lose their support because he finally agreed to let me move in with my uncle instead. When I was packing, my stepsister came into my room and said, "Good, you should leave your stuff behind because you won't need it anymore." It felt like a punch to the stomach, but I didn't say anything. What was the point? When I left, my dad didn't even look at me. My stepmom barely said goodbye. My stepsister waved at me like I was going on vacation. It took everything in me not to cry until I got to my uncle's car. I moved in with my uncle yesterday, and it already feels so much better here. He's been really kind and made sure I felt welcome. He even let me choose what we'd have for dinner, which was nice after feeling like I didn't matter at all back home. But it still hurts. I keep thinking about how my dad looked when I left, like he didn't even care. It's like I'm just gone now, and he can finally have his perfect family. I keep wondering if he's happy now that I'm not there anymore. My grandparents said they'll keep trying to talk to him, but I don't think it'll change anything. It feels like I've already lost him. Right now, I'm just trying to adjust to my new life. My uncle says I can stay as long as I need to, and I'm really grateful for that. But I don't know if I should keep trying to fix things with my dad, or just accept that he doesn't want me anymore. TLDR, my dad and stepmom decided to send me to boarding school, but my uncle and grandparents stepped in and gave my dad an ultimatum. Either I move in with my uncle, or they stop helping him financially. My dad agreed, but it's clear he doesn't care anymore. My stepsister was happy to see me leave, and now I'm living with my uncle, trying to figure out what to do next. Edit. A lot of people asked about my uncle, and if he has a family of his own. He's unmarried, and has always said he likes it that way. He's super chill and loves having his freedom. He's the type of guy who's really involved in our family, though he's always at family gatherings, helps my grandparents a lot, and checks in on me often. He's kind of like the cool, fun uncle who doesn't take things too seriously, but always has your back when you need him. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.